reinvent yourself. I like to tell you a story. It is not based on a true story. It is a true story about reinventing yourself. Once upon a time, there was an ordinary boy in an ordinary family in the Netherlands. He loved to read travel stories. One day at school, he suddenly won a big prize for his ordinary thesis, and he became the first one of his family to study. He was intrigued by those big, fast-moving consumer goods companies and worked in soups and candy. But he found out after 7 years that nothing moves fast in a fast-moving consumer goods company, and he left frustrated. The Dutch boy went into business consultancy, reorganizing companies, trying to revive them. But all his advices were not invented here, and nothing happened, leading to another 7 years of frustration, while he was still fascinated by travel books. When he was 42, he earned a lot of money, but had absolutely no added value for society whatsoever. I'll tell you a story about a hero I know. ACDC. How to reinvent yourself. His ultimate goal was to let old elephants dance again, to help big organizations start innovation the right way. So, he did a startup. End of 2002. Doing a startup 1 year after 9/11 was not a smart thing to do. After 6 months there was hardly any income and his business partner stopped. But this ordinary Dutch boy who loved to read travel books continued. He started to earn a little money as interim manager and was searching for innovation methods to adopt, but more than 20 years ago, before YouTube, before Facebook, there were no innovation methodologies. So the Dutch boy decided, I'll make one myself. And he started to study creativity, or design thinking as we would call it now. And in the startup, he started to do small brainstorming jobs. And then, on the first day of his summer holiday in the Austrian mountains, with the family he went mountain biking, but he was not very skilled and crashed downhill. Dutch boy hurt his knee and had to sit still for a week while the rest of the family went out on a holiday. But he had some post-it and pens, and in that week he wrote a complete structured innovation methodology, combining creativity with business excellence. And his innovation method, after reading travel books 30 years, had the shape of a map with 5 islands, and he named it FORTH, fourth. But would it work? A big organization under attack of a startup needed to innovate in 2005 and hired Dutch boy to experiment with his new methodology. And it really worked. So in 2006, 1 year later, he published his first book in Dutch and started to train people who could use his methodology for free, as he wanted to make people better innovators. In 2008, a second edition. In 2012, a third edition in Dutch. The methodology took off, of course, because in the Netherlands, he was a Dutch boy. Then someone asked him, what is your big dream? And he said, to make everybody in the world a better innovator. And from that moment he continued in English. He published a classic innovation bestseller, The Innovation Expedition, in 2013. Now in the same year, LinkedIn reached out to him. And after signing an NDA, he was suddenly in a list with 150 people. Barack Obama, Richard Branson, Ban Ki-moon. And suddenly this ordinary Dutch boy was a LinkedIn influencer. And now his posts on innovation were read by 50,000 or 100,000 people a day. And this is how his methodology spread all over the world. Now, Dutch boy was invited to explain his methodology with 3M in the US, with Huntsman in Europe, or with NEC in Japan. And he was asked to do keynotes in Cape Town, Melbourne, Guadalajara. The boy who loved to read travel stories made an innovation map which takes now himself all over the world traveling. As global speaker now, he could live wherever he wanted. So he emigrated to Crete, an island in the Mediterranean Sea, in 2019. He spends now more time in airplanes than in cars. He was invited for top keynotes for thousands of people, being picked up in limos and being the guest of honor at poshy conference dinners. In the meantime, on LinkedIn, he had 330,000 followers. The Dutch boy was now an innovation hero. But then came Corona. Dutch boy was actually facilitating in China a project with his fourth innovation methodology in Shanghai in November 2019 when Corona hit China. China was locked down January 23, 2020, and he continued the project online. But then in March, more and more countries went into complete lockdown. Malaysia, New Zealand, Iran, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, the US, the Netherlands and Crete. Traveling had become impossible. And he saw that in 10 days, all his keynotes, all his new products for 2020 were cancelled. He felt a bad dream become reality. And the Dutch boy realized, my business has stopped completely. Now, living on Crete is not a punishment. Every morning he enjoys the wonderful views over the sea to Rednimo, with Mount Ida in the background, the mountain where Zeus was born. He hears the wind through the leaves of the palm tree, and he hears the bells of the sheep grazing in the wild. So he had time to reflect. And the first thing he has to do was accept. He accepted that the unimaginable happened and deleted all his business appointments for 2020 from his iPhone. Then he read, because he had a lot of time to read. And he read a true story about the Greek philosopher Epictetus, who was a slave and lived 100 years BC. Mind you, BC is not before Corona, right? It's before Christ. Epictetus said, some things are in control and some things are not. Control the controllable. Control the controllable gave the Dutch boy peace of mind. And he thought, I can either exploit or explore this new reality. Now, almost all coaches and trainers and consultants, what did they do? They moved from live to online. So they first gave free webinars, and then after 4 or 5 times the database was filled and he started emailing for paid webinars. You could follow 10,000 free webinars on LinkedIn today. And the Dutch boy considered it for a moment to become an online webinar guru like the rest, but He just had to write a 6th book on innovation, promoted them on 330,000 followers on LinkedIn, and exploit paid webinars. But then, Dutch boy had a telephone call with his son. His son, Wisse, was 23 years old, but he was a digital guy, doing blockchain, doing Bitcoin. And he was a bit worried about his old dad. And he said, "Have you ever thought of YouTube?" And a seed was planted. All keynote speakers were on YouTube, but only with their keynotes. The Dutch boy also. But in innovation, no one was building a channel, inspiring on a regular basis people to become great innovators. Now, I am glad that the Dutch boy didn't know that there were already 31 million YouTube channels live. So that's what he did. He disrupted himself by starting a new video channel, Inspiration for Innovation, with practical how to innovate videos to make you a great innovator in times of crisis and beyond. He went from 330,000 followers on LinkedIn to 0 subscribers on YouTube. From Innovation Hero on LinkedIn to Innovation Zero on YouTube. The Dutch boy disrupted himself. During the lockdown, he started to make innovation videos with his wife Anna on his iPhone and published the first movie in March 26. He now knows that he's competing with 31 million other channels to get views. But you know what? He doesn't care. He's on a mission, following his passion to inspire others, ideating, filming, editing and publishing innovation videos. Every view makes him happy. If you like this movie, please do a thumbs up. He would love that. So the Dutch boy continued. Now, what is the takeaway from this true reinvention story? I'll tell you a story about a hero I know. ACDC. I'm sorry? ACDC. ACDC, yes. Remember the Australian rock band from the 70s? ACDC. First of all, accept. The C of control the controllable. The D of disrupt. And the C of continue. ACDC. Now, what happened to the Dutch boy? Well, he went in 6 weeks from 0 to 587 subscribers, with 18 videos published. Now you can make him very happy now to subscribe on his innovation channel. Thank you for your attention for this true reinvention story. P.S. The Dutch boy, that's me. GIJS van Wulf. Thank you for watching and stay safe.